All right, so how's that now?
I think you're here.
I think I am.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you join us. Much appreciated.
To be honest, that's kind of shocked you even asked me. To me, I'm just some idiot that makes stuff in his garage. So to be invited for an interview is kind of like a big deal.
To me, I'm just an idiot that asks people when they come on. So we're good.
All right, high five, right?
So how was your day?
That was pretty good. I spent most of the day cleaning up the shop, which is kind of funny because you're not going to see it unless you want to see it. But I mean,
oh yeah, no, we want to see it.
I get obsessed. You know what I mean? It's just like I started just like sweeping up under the lathe, and then it was like, oh man, maybe I should clean over this where this wood is stacked up. And then I started pulling everything off the shelves, and then cleaning underneath the racks, and one thing leads to the other. I still have some areas that are like pretty messy, but for the most part, I don't think it's been this clean in like ages. So
yeah, no, because we really would like a tour. So
I'll be more than happy to give you a tour. It's going to take really about like 30 seconds because, the mini wood shop is literally a mini wood shop. It really is. So,
well,
let me tell you, you see what's behind me, right?
Yeah.
That's like 90% of the whole workshop, right? What you're looking at right behind me. So
John George ragging on you. He goes, you shaved.
Oh well, John is one. I would like to think John is a good friend. So if John can say whatever he wants. I mean, he's never been to my shop. I definitely do not have the space John has. As a matter of fact, you could probably put like 12 of my shops in his shop, literally.
John has like a 2 or 3 room shop.
It's big. It's big. Metal shop, wood shop, carving area. I mean, I know you did an interview with John, so I'm sure you got the tour, right? I mean,
a nice tour.
Yeah, you could park like what, like a fleet of cars in John's shop if you cleared out all the machines. You could not put one car in mine.
The cars to make it a shop.
It's all good. It's all good. No, John's great. John's great. He's just a great guy, all around great guy.
No, he's a great guy. It's without question. He's a good dude.
Absolutely.
Okay, so introduce yourself.
All right. Well, my name's Scott Wishart. I make stuff in my garage. I mean, really, that's kind of like the long and short of it. So.
And where are you located?
I live in Media, PA.
Okay.
Not too far down the road from you, I guess, right? You're up in New York, right?
Yeah. Now, where's Media? What's that close to? Pittsburgh?
It's a little bit south. Yeah, it's a little bit south and a little bit, I guess, west of Philadelphia.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So you ready to get started with the...
I said just that general area. It's I mean, Philadelphia is about a 20-minute ride. The airport's probably like 10 minutes away.
Okay. All right. Cool. So you ready to get started?
When you ask me questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
All right. If you had the opportunity to go to the moon, would you?
The moon?
The moon.
I don't know. To be honest, I really have no desire to go to the moon. I haven't even been to Europe, so going to the moon would be like, way out there for me. It's funny because traveling for me, places I want to see are all here. It's crazy. I haven't been to Yellowstone. I'd love to see it. I'd love to go see Mount Rushmore. I'd love to go see.
One second, Scott.
Yeah.
Have you left PA?
Absolutely.
Jersey does not count.
Yeah, that's true. Fair enough. So no, I've been around the United States a little bit. I've been out of the country a few times, but I mean, just never been to Europe. So been down to some islands.
Have you been to Asia?
What?
Have you been to Asia?
No, but my kids have been. My kids have been everywhere. If I can live vicariously for my kids, I've already been everywhere. I don't need to go anywhere.
You keep saying, I just haven't been to Europe. So there's like 6 other continents. So I'm wondering, have you been to those as well?
The only continent I've been to is North America, right? And that's it. And haven't been to Canada. So we're really kind of like, we're limiting my exposure, right? So
have you crossed the Mason-Dixon line?
Yeah, I'm pretty much most places in the U.S. except some
Really? So you've
national
been to all
parks.
50 states? 52,
Most,
51.
most of them. Yeah, just actually we knocked off. I haven't been to Alaska, but we just knocked off Hawaii. I guess back in January, right before the
Hawaii is,
big shutdown. Yeah.
Hawaii is nice.
Oh, Hawaii was beautiful. I don't know if you've ever been, but I mean,
I
Hawaii
have.
is spectacular.
I have. I've been
Yeah,
to
that's a lot of fun.
Kona, Lanai.
Well, Kona, that's cool because we actually stayed with somebody, right, as a friend of my wife's, but it's just like we stayed at his place, and he's right where that last lava eruption was a couple years ago. So we got
Oh,
like it's almost like the backstage tour of that whole area. So that was kind of cool, you
cool.
know?
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. What word or phrase do you often overuse?
Overused? Well, I think we all do that, right?
Yes.
Oh, and I exaggerate tremendously. Like I'll say something like, "Oh my God, that was like 40 million years ago." Obviously not, right? Yeah, so I guess exaggerating things is kind of like a trademark, right?
Right. What is your least favorite thing to do?
Oh wow. I don't know, really, to be honest. I mean, I tend not to do the things I don't like to do, so I guess I don't really do them. I don't know. I don't really have a least favorite thing to do, I guess, other than like get cut in the shop, you know? I mean, that kind of sucks, but I mean, really, that's it. I mean, that sounds kind of boring, but it'd be easier if you asked me what's like most favorite thing to do, you know? Because
That's the
you
next
know,
question.
well, the next, here you go. I'm leaning up against my lathe. I got a stool sitting down here right in my lathe, and my backrest is the tool rest. So, see, that's propping up my back. So I spend more time out here than probably in the house, you know?
Okay.
So
Yeah, and Cooper John said pay taxes. Yeah, that's probably up there.
yeah, paying taxes kind of sucks, but I mean, you know, it is what it is. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. What is the one thing your spouse or significant other would like to change about you?
Wow, I don't know. I should bring her in here, and she probably could sit here and talk to you for like an hour and a half.
It's got a whole list.
I don't know, really, to be honest. I mean, she would probably say that most of the time, you know, I'm pretty easygoing, but it just, you know, every once in a while, you just get a bug up your butt, and I tend not to let things go right away. You know what I mean? It's just like, it seems like I have to vent through something to get over it. So that would probably be it.
All right. What makes you tick?
Wow. You know, that's kind of like a weird question, right? I mean, it's just like, what makes anybody tick, right? So, I mean, we're all a
They're all
product of
different.
environment, our life experiences. Wow. You know, and I've had, you know, quite a few different life experiences. And it's funny because each stage for me that I go through, it's like, okay, it's kind of like, you know, going from high school to college, right? And it's just like, okay, well, I shut the door to high school. I mean, it was still a great experience, but, you know, you shut the door, you move on. And then, you know, then it's just like I got married and then I had some kids, well, after college. And then, you know, you kind of like, okay, the kids are grown now and they moved out. So it's like, not that I shut the door on the kids. No, I don't want to say that, but, you know, it's just like I really kind of focused into wood turning. And, you know, I had like a big major epiphany. I guess it was a couple of years ago. And I don't want to get too deep unless you want me to, but.
Yeah, we got 18 other questions, but we can stretch the conversation out like this. Divulge.
Okay.
Give it to us. Give it to us.
Yeah, well, I guess it was a few years back. Both my parents and my mother-in-law all died within a year, right? And that year sucked, okay? And also, I mean, I broke my collarbone, and I was in the doctor's office talking to a orthopedic surgeon when I got a phone call from my sister and told me my dad died, you know? So, I mean, it was just like a bad string of, I mean, mother-in-law, then my dad, and a couple months later, my mom. And it's just like, you have an epiphany about what's important in life. And it's just like, at that point, it's just like I decided that I'm going to really start doing more of what I want to do instead of what I'm supposed to do. You know what I mean? So instead of saying, okay, well, you know, we're supposed to do this and we're, you know, we have to do these things and that, no. No, I do what I want now. And it's like I'm in a kind of a unique situation where I can do that, but it's just like, you know, if I want to do something, I do it. If I want to, you know, well, you can't do too much now because of the pandemic, but
Well,
you
you
know,
can. That's what you want to do.
well, I guess. I mean, I'm choosing not to, right? I'm trying to be a good social distancer. So, but but yeah, prior to this, it's like, you know, I was visiting people that I hadn't seen, and you know, going places I haven't gone, and you know, it's not like I have a huge bucket list I want to fill, but I mean, you know, to me, the whole journey here, especially with like the wood turning, it's like I love to learn stuff, you know, and it's like learning something is cool, and it doesn't even really matter what it is as long as you have some interest in it. And you know, I mean, I used to do flat woodwork, you know, just like making cabinet work and that kind of thing. And you start watching some of these, you know, YouTube videos, and it's just like, you know, there wasn't that when I started woodworking, because that was like way long ago, you know? And you just start going down a rabbit hole, and then you know how YouTube works, right? I mean, it's just like you're watching through some videos, and then it's like you've done that one, and it auto plays something similar. Well, and I'm looking at stuff, you know, that's all about like regular, what I would consider regular woodworking. And it's just like the next thing you know, I got a video of somebody turning something with a lathe, and I'm like, you know, I'm like the deer in the headlight. And it's just, I'm watching, and then it's somebody else, and then it's somebody else, and then it's somebody else. And then it's just like, wow, that looks really cool, you know? And before I moved out here to PA, I was living in Jersey. And once again, the wood shop was really actually is only a little bit bigger than it is here, just a one-car garage. And I didn't have room for a lathe, but I bought one anyway, and it was small. I mean, it was like one of those, you know, like it was a Jet 1221 variable speed. I mean, it literally was like maybe no longer than 2 foot, you know, right?
Desktop.
I'm sorry, yeah, like tabletop lathes, right? So I went out and I bought that, and it's just I was having so much fun. I mean, I always joke about it. It's like, you know, you buy a lathe, all your other tools are going to get jealous because you're never going to use them ever again, right? And it's just like, I mean, you used to bandsaw because you have to, drill press sometimes because you have to, but my table saw, when we go on, you know, we do your tour, the table saw is a table, right? There's a saw. I mean, obviously it still works. It's plugged in. If I turn it on, it'll work. But that's where I do all my resin work over there now. So I mean, if I need to cut something on a table saw, I got to pull a bunch of stuff off of it. I mean, I just don't have the room, you know? So, but yeah, that's kind of like, you know, the quest for learning is what got me into wood turning. So, and there's always something to learn. I mean, geez, I mean, I think you could turn a lifetime and never learn everything that you could possibly learn about wood turning. And there's always something new, right? I mean, it's great.
Yeah, we probably consult. John's been turning for a while.
I'm sorry?
So John's been turning for a while.
Oh, yeah, John's been turning his life, right? I mean, that's awesome.
Never done. Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I did a post one time about John Jordan, and you know, I took a picture and I posted it on Instagram, and I said I was sitting there with a living legend, and it's true. You know, I mean, it really is.
Yes.
Yeah.
No question.
No, absolutely none. Absolutely none. I mean, it's kind of like funny. It's just like I don't get too much of that what do you call it? You like starstruck, right? I don't get that too often, but that's as close as I've got to being starstruck is hanging out with John Jordan. So, I mean, it really is. He's just a great guy. I met John. I needed to, or he was going and doing a demo at a symposium that I was going to in Lancaster, and I got an email from the I got an email from the people who run the symposium, and you know, John Jordan needed a ride. I'm like, really? Did John Jordan need to ride from the airport to Lancaster? I was like, sign me up, right? So,
but let me tell you, what he needed was a chauffeur.
Yeah, that was it, right? Unfortunately, I think I bent his ear way too much on the ride, but I mean, you know, it is what it is, you know? So John actually opened my eyes up to doing holoforms, which I was really interested in doing, but it's just like, you know, I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I was still busy turning bulbs, you know. So
right. He said that he got on Instagram because of you.
Yeah. that's actually true, because I probably like chewed his ear for at least 20 minutes about why he wasn't on Instagram when during that ride. So, yep. Yep.
Well, thank you, Scott.
What's that?
I said thank you.
Yeah, very good.
All right, so the next question is,
Sorry if I'm going to stray a little bit. I don't know if you've noticed that or not yet, but I will stray.
Let me tell you what I've learned doing this, and I've not always been successful. I need to be able to read the other person, whether they're uncomfortable, whether they're happy, whether they're not talking enough, whether they're talking too much, and kind of guide and sense what's going on. So you're good.
I was going to say, if you need to dial me back a little bit, no problem.
You're good. We're just going to go to the next question.
And then I watched a little bit earlier, right, from the 10 a.m., right, the guy who does the baking, right? And don't worry, I'm not going to talk about the laundry, right? It's just not my thing. I actually don't mind. Okay, so I said I'm not going to talk about it, and here I am talking about it, right? I actually don't mind doing the laundry. It really is a therapeutic. It's a mindless chore, and for some reason, that actually works for me.
Did you get the first part of it?
No. I got the synopsis that you gave as the explanation.
Yeah, he said when he first met his partner, the thing that he said he liked doing most was laundry. He said after the first year, there was no.
Yeah. I don't know that I would say that I like doing the laundry. I just don't mind doing the laundry, you know?
8 years later.
I'm not a fan of cooking either. That's not my gig. Thank God my wife likes to cook, right? I mean, I like to eat. That's good. I'm right there. I'll help out by eating whatever she makes. But.
All right, that's good. What irks you the most?
Wow. Hypocrisy. And we can just leave it at that, really, to be honest. I mean, it's just like, yeah, let's just go there.
What sound makes you happiest?
What makes me happy? Wow, almost everything.
Well, no,
I'm sorry? What sound makes me happy? Wow. I don't know. If I mean, just to relax, maybe, I guess it would be like, birds, just like the peaceful outdoors, quiet, maybe crickets chirping, when it starts getting around twilight, sit out on the porch. That's kind of like a mellowing sound. I don't know if it's necessarily like a happy, but I mean, that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah. What sound bothers you the most?
Okay, so you do woodworking, yes? Yeah, so, okay, so two of them. One, like, you know what it sounds like when that bandsaw saw band breaks? It's like, that's nasty, right? I mean, that just, it almost makes my skin crawl. And the other thing is the sound of the wood cracking when you're turning something on the lathe when you know you got it a little bit too thin. And you asked me about annoying, right? I mean, you can see the door, right? That's the door into my shop, right? The garage door. Usually that's up, and I'll rip something off the lathe, and it'll launch right out that door into my wood box. Oh yeah, launch it.
What profession, other than your own, would you like to try?
To be honest, at this point, I'm pretty happy doing what I'm doing. I mean, I kind of focus on, I guess, either what I'm doing at the time, hobby-wise or work-wise or whatever, and I actually kind of just kind of get into it. I mean, I never really kind of look past it. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's just like, I mean, I like to go fishing, right? And when I'm fishing, I'm fishing. Don't talk to me about wood turning. I mean, it's just like I'm focused, right? I love to do wood turning, obviously. I mean, it's kind of like what I do. And I mean, here, look, see, Lake-a-thon 2015, right? It's like, I mean, I like cycling. So it's just like, but when I'm involved in each one of those activities, it's like I get immersed in it, And it's just like, I don't really think past about what else I would be like to do. And if you ask me what I'd rather be doing than wood turning, no.
Okay.
No, absolutely not. I mean, now it might be different, but right now, wood turning. I just love it.
All right. I'm with you. I love what I do as well.
And you do it well.
The woodworking. This is something that I do love doing it. I don't know how well I do it, but I'm like a kid about it. I love it.
Well, I think it's great.
Yeah, and it's the thing is to bring the people together. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
When I was a bartender at Four Seasons Hotel in Atlanta, and doing happy hour, the bar would be full, and I would introduce everyone at the bar to each other.
Right. Yeah, that's cool.
I've always done that.
That's very cool.
What would you want on your tombstone?
You know, it's funny because when you asked that question earlier, I said, I'm going to have to make a joke that I want extra cheese and sausage, right? But I didn't know if anybody would get that other than me.
Philly cheesesteak.
Oh, well, you know, it's like tombstone pizza is like, it's okay, but I mean, you know, it's like, you know, the commercial, what do you want on your tombstone? That's like, oh, geez, you know, to be honest, I don't even want to think about that. I mean, that's just like, you know, I mean, not that I'm you know, really worried about it. It's just that I got too much other things to worry about than to worry about what's on my tombstone. I don't even care, you know? I mean, that's going to sound weird, but it's just like, I don't care if I want my kids to remember me like having a good time, fun, whatever. You know, I want my wife to remember me as having a good time, fun. I don't want anybody to go to the grave. I don't want them to see the tombstone. That's just depressing.
It's inevitable.
I know, but so's paying taxes. I don't want to celebrate it though, right?
Let me tell you, those two things are tough.
Yeah.
Paying taxes in tombstones.
They're
1 and 1.
Unless you're talking about the pizza, then tombstone's awesome, dude. I'm telling you, extra cheese and sausage is the way to go.
Greg just wrote best in turning pieces.
Yeah, I saw that. Right.
What is it about your personality that drives your business?
To be honest, I don't know. I mean, you know, it's just like I got a lot of followers on Instagram, and really, it's just like I was talking to my daughter just the other day, and she was saying I have something. She said it's called imposter syndrome. Now, you've ever heard that term before?
No.
Okay, so I mean, obviously, I got a lot of followers on Instagram, right? I mean, it's like what, 80,000, and it's just like, I mean, that's great, and thank you all very much for following me on Instagram, but I'm some idiot making stuff in my garage, and why do that many people want to watch what I'm doing? I don't know.
Okay,
you know?
Okay, wait a second. Let's talk about that. Right? You are a person that does something pretty darn cool, and people like it.
And thank you all very much for liking it. I really do appreciate it.
And people want to tune in. And I think that's a wonderful thing. I mean, you down talk it, which is great. You're humble, but there's something to be said about having that level of interest from people all over the world.
I still don't, and maybe it's because it's just me, right? I mean, I've always been kind of low key. I've always kind of been like, try to stay in the background. I'm not really like looking for the limelight, and Instagram was great. I mean, I got to put stuff on Instagram that I was making. I sold a few pieces. I put some more stuff on, sold a few pieces. I thought it was good. You get some exposure. And then, then you start seeing other people making stuff. And the inspiration is just phenomenal. I mean, you know how it is on Instagram, right? I mean, you only see what you want to see. So it's great. But still, to this day, I can't understand. I mean, I brought some pieces too, so it's like I figured maybe if someone will want to see some of the stuff I do, but it's like my stuff is. There's so many good wood turners out there, and there's so many other people out there making really cool stuff, and it's just like I look at my stuff and I go,
Scott, I gotta stop you. I gotta stop you. Okay. Yes, there are lots of great wood turners. And you say whatever, there may be people who are better than you. That's not the point. People following you does not change who you are. You are that, whatever that is. I don't think there's an imposter anywhere in that. And what's happening is you are allowing the amount of people that follow you make you feel uncomfortable, and you shouldn't.
I think uncomfortable is probably like not the right word. It's just I just don't.
I'm just going on what you talking to you.
No,
What
I
are you
understand.
saying?
So I don't want to say I feel uncomfortable. I mean, my shop's open to anybody. I mean, really, like if it wasn't pandemic time, if you wanted to come down here and hang out, come on down. Just make sure you bring the pizza with the extra cheese and sausage, right? So, but
I'm a veggie, so I'll bring you extra cheese and sausage, and I'll just take cheese.
okay, well, okay. If you're veggie, then how about onions and mushrooms?
I'll do that.
Okay, onions and mushrooms also very good. So,
Now, do you do raw onions or grilled?
well, they cook in the oven, but they put them on raw, yeah. Raw onions and mushrooms, yeah.
All right.
So, but it's not that I feel uncomfortable. I mean, I have no problem, being in front of people. I mean, I've done some demos before, and it's just like that's not a big deal. It's not like I'm shy. It's just that, I mean, it's a lot of people looking at what I'm doing, and then I see other people who I think are way better than I am, and it's just like they're asking me, like, I have so many followers, and I go,
But that's
I
what I'm
don't.
saying, though. What you do is wonderful, and we love that.
Well, thank you. I do appreciate it.
No explanation is needed for that. Keep turning.
Oh, I'll keep turning almost every day. I'd had a couple of days off. The last couple of days, I actually took some time away from the shop, but I mean, that's just the circumstances.
All right, cool. What is it about your personality that hinders your business?
Probably tend to be a perfectionist about certain things, and that probably is not good. I mean, sometimes you just gotta go with the flow, and when things have to be perfect, and you spend all that time and effort. I mean, I've had pieces where, and I mean, I did a giveaway the other day because I couldn't sell a piece because my mind it wasn't sellable, but I had people offer to buy it. So I mean, it's just a matter of, I guess, perspective. But I need things to at least reach my level of perfection. It's still not perfect, but I got, I guess, a benchmark that I feel my pieces need to reach. And if they're not there, I don't want to sell them. I mean, I'd rather just either give them away or, a lot of things wind up on the scrap pile, which probably shouldn't, but it is what it is.
So there was a piece that you did a giveaway on that people wanted to buy from you.
Yeah, what about it? I'm sorry, did you ask me what it was?
No, I'm asking you, is that what happened? Someone wanted to buy it because you didn't think it was good enough, you gave it away.
Well, I did a casting, and it was a resin casting, and with a Star Wars ship inside, right? And
It's beautiful.
for whatever reason, there was some bubbles inside there that and it's just the pressure pot thing. It's just I don't know. Still to this day, I don't know what the problem was, but I mean, there were bubbles in it, and it's just like I'm not going to sell that. I mean, I want my castings to look crystal clear, and it's just like so. I wound up giving it away, and I got probably 15 or 20 offers to buy the thing, and it's just like. Well, I'm not selling it. I'll give it away, though. You know what I mean?
I tagged George Clinton in that when I posted that just now. I thought he would get a kick out of it.
So here, look, here's an example, right? Is this a piece, right? Now, I don't know. Can you see? I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you this.
Yeah.
Okay, look, you can see right here, right? There's bubbles in here, right?
Right.
Okay, there, you can see them good there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I use this as a demo piece, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't sell that.
You know what? I don't blame the sky.
had people offer to buy it.
I throw it away. I'm joking.
What's that?
I'm joking. I said I throw it away. I was only kidding. I think
But
that's
no,
great.
I mean, I'd rather give something like that. I mean, I use that as a demo piece, but I mean, I'd rather give that away to somebody, And it's just like we did the giveaway. I mean, you know how that works. I mean, random giveaway to somebody.
Right.
And they seem to like it. So I was happy. They were happy. I feel like I didn't steal anybody's money. It all worked out.
As long as you can sleep at night. Who would you travel cross country with on a motorcycle?
Wow. It's funny because it's like I've actually talked to some friends of mine that still friends from high school time. And we've actually talked about maybe doing that one day, although it's probably never going to happen. But I mean, I would say probably. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm trying to answer the question. I'm reading the comments. So.
I agree.
I should come up with a gimmick and charge double, right? So, But no, so I've actually talked about doing that with some friends of mine. So it's just like, so, you know, I don't know, they're probably not tuning in, but it would be Jeff, Eddie, and Rob. Not that you would know who Jeff, Eddie, and Rob are, but just friends of mine from high school days.
Wow. All right. What was your favorite concert?
We'll have to go with two because it's hard to say which is my favorite, right? So the first concert I was ever at, probably still one of the best, if not the best concert I've ever been to, was Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And I don't want to tell you what year it was because it'll definitely date me. Okay, it was probably back in the 80s, right? So, and then seeing Garth Brooks in concert is phenomenal. Garth Brooks is a phenomenal entertainer. So
yeah, he's an amazing entertainer.
Yep. So kind of it's a crazy contrast too, right? I mean, you're talking about Emerson, Lake and Palmer, you know, and then Garth Brooks. I mean, two ends of the spectrum, but I mean, both very, very good.
Yeah, the very few people can give a good concert, and that's clear across the spectrum. Any genre of music. Some people got it.
Oh yeah.
And Garth
totally agree. Totally agree.
When was the last time you cried?
Wow. You know, it's funny. I don't know when the last time was, but it's funny. I do. I get emotional over stuff I probably shouldn't, and I don't get emotional over stuff I probably should. You know, so I guess it's just like a defense mechanism. But like, you know, every time Tiny Tim says "God bless us, everyone" in the Christmas Carol, I don't care what version. It can be like, you know, a dramatic version. It can be the Mickey Mouse version. It doesn't matter, dude. I lose it. Okay, every time, right? And I can talk about it. Not a problem. Don't put the movie on though, because dude, I know it's coming. And it's funny. My kids will sit there, and my kids are grown, moved away. But I mean, they come back Christmas time. They know it's coming, and they're looking at me like, "Is he going to cry?" And I can't help it. So. And then other things like where I should and I don't, right? And I know it's a defense mechanism, but like my parents passing away, I mean, I had to deal with it, so I did. You know what I mean? It wasn't upsetting to me that whole thing happening until months later, and then the realization kicks in is that they're gone. You know,
Processing of it.
You have your time, but it's like when you're dealing with something and dealing with trouble and dealing with it's just I deal with things, and it's just like I don't let it faze me, you know. And a lot of people think I come across as very callous and very, you know, like a piece of marble or stone, and that's not me. I mean, if you know me as a person, you know that it just takes me a while to get, you know, it's almost like I'm in denial for a really long time before I'll let myself, you know, deal with it. So,
were you close to your parents?
Somewhat. I don't want to say really close, but I mean, it wasn't like, you know, I mean, I probably saw my parents, you know, at least once a month, maybe for like the last 5 or 6 years when, you know, before they passed away, you know. So talked to my mom on the phone. My dad, well, you know, I mean, we don't always see eye to eye on everything, but we were cordial. But I mean, you know, it is what it is.
How many brothers and sisters?
I have 2 brothers still alive and a sister still alive.
I was talking to David Johnson, Sidecar Furniture.
Okay.
And we were talking about fathers, right? And he talked about not talking to his dad for 20 years.
Wow.
And him and his dad reuniting at his younger brother's funeral.
Right.
So he gets emotional. So of course I'm listening, and I start talking about my dad's situation. I start getting emotional, and I'm like, how many people are dealing with these father-son problems? And then the guy sends me a message after it saying that we've all got daddy problems.
Oh, everybody. Everybody. One
like,
thing you know, we're all broken, right? We're all broken. I mean, but that's what makes us who we are, right? It's what it is.
Yeah. What impact do you want to leave on your industry?
Wow. What I'd really like to get more into that I don't do right now is just like teaching other people who are new into wood turning how to do certain things. You know, I mean, that's kind of like, I guess, the focus of what, my Instagram feed has even become is showing how I make things. Now I'm very much a big proponent that there's always more than one right way to do everything. You know, um, many ways to do it right. And also many ways to do it wrong. But I mean, I can show people how I do things. It might be different than how somebody else does, but if we wind up at the correct result, then the journey there was right. Some things more efficient than others, but I mean, it's almost like the conundrum when people ask about, oh, do you use traditional tools or carbide tools? And I'm like, well, I have both. I mean, sometimes, one works better in a certain situation than the other. I just don't understand why it's not one or the other. You know what I mean?
I do. You know what? I don't know if I'm going to agree with you there.
And see, and that's what's making it great, because it doesn't matter. Everybody, it's like you use what works best for you, and I use what works best for me. And if we wind up with the result that we want, then it's all good.
Yeah, I understand. Two people can reach the same goal, and I don't know if both of them necessarily were correct in the means to the end.
Okay.
I have guys that do stuff, and eventually they'll come out with it right, but the way that they're doing it is very time consuming, possibly wasting material, and could be dangerous.
Yeah, well, safety is definitely an issue that everybody's got to be concerned with. I mean, you came in with, hopefully you came in with 5 and 5, and we leave with 5 and 5, right? I mean, it is what it is, but I mean, you don't want to ever do anything that's going to put yourself in danger, right? But
yep.
I know some people who turn exclusively with carbide and nothing else, and they say, "Oh no, I turn carbide," and it's like, great, if that's what works for you, that's great. And I use mostly traditional tools, right? So that's what I learned on. But there's some things that those carbide tools just work better for. You know what I mean? And it's just, they do. I mean, it's just like when you're, especially like when you're dealing with things like with resin and everything. I mean, I still tend to use traditional tools with resin, but I mean, sometimes those carbide tools are kind of the way to go. So. And I understand what you were talking about too, about waste and everything, and I agree with that. I mean, that's kind of like what I said. Some ways are more efficient than others, and but I guess what I was getting at was, it's like, it kind of came from a book that I read. And do you know Mark Spagnola or know of Mark? He's a wood whisperer, right? So he wrote this book. It was called Hybrid Woodworking, because there's that whole battle in the flat woodwork community. You use power tools or hand tools, right? It's just like, he says, well, both. I mean,
yes,
if you want to trim down something, just a little bit at a time, I'm using a hand plane. I'm not going to sit there and try to nibble away with it on the paper saw. It's just not the right tool, So I have a collection from when I was doing flat woodwork of, I got hand tools and I have power tools, and I'm not going to say I'm going to use one or the other. I'm going to use the best tool for the job. But yes, I do agree that, I mean, you don't want to do things dangerous. You don't want to waste time. You don't want to waste material. I mean, that's just, I don't want to say there's no wrong way to do things, but there's many right ways to do things.
There was a guy that worked for me for 4 years, and he was a pretty good woodworker. But he didn't know the essence of woodworking. So you could tell him this to show him a picture, and he'd figure out how to do it. But he didn't know the language.
Right.
He couldn't name anything. He didn't know the essence of woodworking. But he would figure it out and do it well. And to me, that wasn't right. It just wasn't.
It wasn't so.
It's like if you're doing figuring out a math problem, and you come with the right answer, and you can't explain how you got there. but you got the right answer.
No, I understand where you're coming from. I understand where you're coming from. But to me, I guess what I'm getting at, right? If you do 5 + 5 = 10, right? So does it matter which 5 you put? Does it matter? And that's kind of like where I'm going.
Right. It is.
You know, or like 3 + 2.
3.
It's the same as 2 + 3, right? I mean, so it don't matter what. But I do understand what you're getting at. I totally, and to be honest, as far as that part goes, I agree with that. I mean, you should have fundamentals. You should have a working knowledge of what you're doing, you know. But, you know,
and this is really just a difference of where I'm coming from and where you're coming from.
Yep.
This is it right here. A lot of turners are brutal, violent turners. They may end up with a bone, but that's not. Yes, that's it.
Oh no,
right.
I agree. I mean, you know, but then you know, not to argue with John, but I mean, I know somebody who I would consider a violent turner, who does things totally wacky and unconventional and makes beautiful stuff. And it's like, have you ever seen Derek Weidman?
No, not
okay.
Not my name.
I'll have to send you a link to some of the stuff he does. I mean, he considers himself a wood sculptor, and he makes amazing stuff, and he beats the shit out of his lathe. And I hope I'm not going to get the bleed for the shit, right? So, and he'll tell you, it's like, I'm totally unconventional, not use, and sharpens everything by eye and by hand, and not the way that I do things, but it's just like, I mean, I love Derek. I mean, he makes some incredible stuff. So,
yeah, I'm with you. Do you have any black friends?
Do I have any black friends? Yeah, I got a friend of mine from high school that we were just chatting. It's like, we can't wait for the pandemic to be over. So actually, he was kind of like my mentor when I was on a track team. Not that that really matters, but it's funny because I was talking to him the other day, and I guess I embarrassed him a little bit because I told him, I says, when I was out running, and now it's cycling because I can't run anymore because I hurt my knee. So, but he always told me, he's like, don't ever stop. He says, you slow down, you can even shuffle if you have to, right? But don't ever stop. And when I'm biking and I want to stop, I got Dan in my head saying, don't ever stop. Don't ever stop.
No, let me tell you, he's 100% right. Because I got back on a bike and I hadn't ridden for 7-8 months, and I put on maybe 15, 20 pounds. And for the first time in my life, I stopped. Never before. I've been riding all my life, and I've never stopped. I've never walked up a hill. Recently, I've done all of those things.
Yeah, well, you know, you got to do what you got to do, but you didn't stop. You walked up the hill, and you got back on the bike, right? You got back on the bike. You got what kind of bike? I'm asking you now. What kind of bike?
I collect old vintage bikes. Still.
Really? That's really cool.
Yeah, Bianchi is one of my favorites. I go back to the early 1900s with wooden wheels. I got issues, man.
Yeah, it's all good. We all have issues. We all do, right? We all have issues. So here, I'll let you. Guess what brand bike I ride?
What kind?
Come on. I ride a Scott bike. I ride a Scott bike. Come on. It's like, how easy was that, right?
How long have you had it?
Well, I got 2 now, right? So I had one. I just got one that I ordered, I guess, back in January, and I just picked it up maybe a month or so ago. And then I had one that I bought back probably in 2015. So before that, I had a Specialized bike. But, you know, and then talk about impulse buys, something I don't usually do. But, I mean, I went into a bike shop, and the bike's got my name right on it. Here, take my credit card, you know?
How far do you ride?
I pretty much ride almost every day, and probably like between 18 and 25 miles a day.
Every day?
Yeah.
Once you're in shape, 20 miles is nothing.
It's really not that big a deal, to be honest. I mean, you know, it's like you're on the bike for about an hour and 15 minutes to do about 20 miles. It's not that bad. You know, you got to have a nice, comfortable seat, right? If that saddle is not, if that don't fit you, you're going to have a hard time. So, yeah. right? You definitely don't want to wind up with those saddle sores. That's not a good thing at all.
And it stays with you for a couple of days.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, until you get that seat dialed in, you're going to have some trouble.
Do you often see people of color in your industry?
Well, only like in Instagram or on YouTube, because to be honest, I mean, I kind of like, you know, my industry, if you want to call it that, right? I mean, for me personally, is this, you know, 12 by 20 room that I'm sitting in, and the only person I've ever seen here all day is me, you know? So.
Okay. Who would you most like to have a conversation with?
Wow. And that I haven't had before, right? Or can it be someone that I've had? Because really,
You talked to
John
already, so give me someone else.
Because you know I'm going right down that road, right? I mean, I am. I mean, it's like I could sit and pick John Jordan's brain for
someone else. You
months. Okay, so somebody else. Who else would I like to sit down and talk to?
Look, let me tell you this. All right, let me tell you this. How cool John Jordan is. I hadn't called him in a couple of weeks, but we used to talk once or twice a week. He's that cool. You can pick him up and dial him, and he'll answer.
He usually answers when I call. Well, I mean,
yeah.
Instagram. I mean, I don't usually call him and say, "Hey, John, what's up?" I mean, maybe I should. You know?
No, that's what I'm talking
John,
about. You can video dial him.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know if he wanted to be looking at this while he was, you know, I might catch him at dinner time or something, right? That wouldn't be good.
He'll tell you to call him back.
So you know, that's like somebody else that I'd actually like to sit down and pick their brain. Okay, and it is somebody who I've talked to before, but but someone who I'd like to actually like sit down and have a really long in-person talk to. It's another wood turner. It's a friend of mine, but I just don't get to see that much. It's Michael Early. And I don't know if you know Michael or not, or if you heard of him or not, but his Instagram is Sofo Joko. And dude, I'd love to just hang out and, you know, have a beer or two with Mike, chat, talk wood turning. I mean, we do that over Instagram, but it's just like, dude, having face-to-face with Michael Early would be cool.
Okay. All right. So, now you can tell us how you got into wood turning.
Wow, we're going to do a little bit of a rehash. So, I mean, really, how I got into wood turning really starts out with me doing woodworking around the house, right? I mean, things need to get done, and then it's like, you know, hey, well, I need a tool to, you know, to do this job, and, you know, and this goes, I'm going to roll this all the way back. So, remarried, okay? So at this point, right, remarried. So let's roll back to wife number one, and it's just like, stuff needs to get done around the house. Start buying tools, start doing woodworking, start fixing stuff around the house. And then it's like, hey, we need a vanity for the bathroom. Okay. Then starts into the cabinet work and everything. And then, you know, doing all that. And it's just like trying to get as much information as I can out of books or whatever, because, I mean, there was no YouTube back then, you know? And then from then, it's just like, you know, just going and going and going and going until maybe about like 8 years ago, different wife, different house, same situation, things need to get fixed, right? And then I'm watching YouTube, and then we roll into seeing some wood turning videos. And then, dude, I was like the biggest fish and with the hook, right? I'm like, you know, and I was done, you know, and now that's all I want to do. I mean, if I have to do something or fix something or do something with my flat woodwork tools, I don't want to. You know, I mean, I hate saying that because it's like I had such a good time doing it. But it's just like, I can make stuff on the lathe. Why would I want to? Why would I want to cut boards? You know, and I don't want to take anything away from that. You know, so, but I mean, that's just where my head is at now. You know, I mean, there's a guy that I follow on Instagram, and he went from wood turning to spoon carving. Of all things, right? I mean, and actually like hacking out the spoon with an axe and then refining it with a knife. But that's how he gets his, you know, relaxation. So you can't fault him, right? But where does his head go to go from wood turning to spoon? Who knows, right? But same
Right.
with me. I went from like cabinet style, woodworking to wood turning, and that's all I want to do.
Okay. How long have you been on Instagram?
Maybe like 2.5 years now, maybe a little bit longer.
Okay. How often do you post?
Uh, I try to put something up almost every day, if not every other day.
Okay.
I mean, there's been times when I've, blown off Instagram because of like, real world issues, for 3, 4, 5 days in a row. I mean, just because you can't, I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, you got to deal with life first,
Okay.
But I try to put something up on Instagram at least every day or every other day.
All right. Can we get a tour?
The shop tour, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, if I hit this little thing, this should turn the camera around, right?
Yep.
Hey, look, now you get to see my air conditioning system right there, that big fan down there, right? All right, so here we go. We'll go on the big shop tour. And let's start over here with my air conditioner. And then you can see my table saw, right? See, we got a Grizzly table saw, and you can see what's on top of it, right? I got a big board on top of it, and that's like got all my resin stuff. And then here's my bandsaw with some stuff on it. You can see I'm trying to maximize the use of my space. This is probably the biggest mess in my shop right now is this little standing area. And there's my dust collector and drill station and drill press. And here's a whole bunch of stuff that I probably should work on a lot more that I don't. And then some wood. And then my door and the lathe, right? So lathe, right? And the lathe's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. And then behind me is a compressor, and then some more wood tools. And here's my big tool cabinet. And I actually keep my bowl gouges in a drawer. So that's what I do. And then here's my grinder, sharpening area, and just some of the tools. You can see there's projects going on everywhere. And then a planer from back in the old flatwood days. Cabinets I made. And some wood storage, lights, my air filtration. There's my heater. I actually do have a heater, so I can be out here in the winter. And then there you go. If you blinked, you missed it, because that's pretty much that's it. That's the whole.
Okay. Can we see those bowls on the lathe?
Oh, yeah, hang on. Okay, so this is what's on the lathe, right? So I got this piece is just a little decorative piece that I made.
Nice.
Right? This actually is like basically just like a little lidded piece, right? So it's ebony a foot and an ebony finial, and it's a brown mallee burl.
Where do you get your wood from?
It really kind of depends. It depends on the wood. So the ebony I picked up several years ago. There was a store, that. It's like a lumber yard, but they specialize in wood for people who make musical instruments. So they have a scrap bin, and they would sell the scraps at like I think $35 for a 30-pound box of scraps. So I bought 2 big boxes full of ebony, and all the pieces are probably about like foot long, and they're about 1.5 inches square. So.
That's pretty good.
So I got a bunch of pieces like this big, which is great. So it's probably more than I'll be able to use for a while. And then, but a lot of the other wood, I mean, I buy some wood from Exotic Wood Zone. So I bought some wood from Worldwide Burl, and most of my wood I get from an arborist who is a local guy for me. And, obviously he cuts down trees for a living, being an arborist. So, I pretty much have a, never-ending supply of whatever I need. I just got to let him know what I'm looking for. And then when he's taking down a tree, if I say, hey, I need some cherry, I mean, it might be a week or two, but he'll call me and tell me, hey, I'm taking down a cherry tree. Come pick up as much as you want.
So cool. We got 2 minutes.
And then this piece, this is actually from my property, right? This is just a piece of poplar. Right? But it's actually kind of one of my favorite pieces. So I just like the way that the grain worked out on this.
Yeah. It's a beautiful job.
Reminds me of like a big Hershey's Kiss, So
All right, so we got a minute and 18 seconds left.
Okay. So a minute and 18 seconds. How long have you been doing the interviewing gig?
Since April?
How do you like it?
I like it. It's fun. It's a lot
So
of work.
who was the, like the craziest interview that you did?
Ingrained.
Yeah.
It took him 45 minutes to figure out how to get on.
So our little hiccup in the beginning, that like 5 or 6 minutes, so we couldn't figure that out. That was not that bad then, huh?
No, not at all. Not at all. And the funny thing, Scott, was this guy does pixelated furniture. He pixelates the wood, right?
Okay.
But he couldn't figure out how to get online.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. You know, it's go ahead. I'm sorry.
I've met a lot of wonderful people doing this, and I love it.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, and I'm happy I get to share those experiences with everyone else.
Okay, so besides me, who was your favorite person to interview? You notice I took myself out of the mix, right?
Yeah, George Pennington.